Hey everyone, how's it going today? It's Coach Danny Alvarez, Alvarez Jiu Jitsu in Arlington, Texas. And today, I got one of my students with me, Mr. Joseph. We're just kind of hanging out after class today, and he kind of was just asking me some questions. He's just sharing some information with me, some very powerful information. And I just thought it'd be really good for all of you out there to kind of hear that if you're kind of going through anything that he went through. If it connects with you, I think it'd be good for you to hear. Because sometimes, other people's stories will just resonate with you better than mine. So, Mr. Joseph, thank you for joining us today. So we're kind of hanging out on the mat, right? We're talking after class, putting some good work. And I just kind of asked him, what brought him in? What started, what clicked and was like, hey, what makes you want to do jiu-jitsu? So let's start off with that. So, what got you into jiu-jitsu? How'd you end up?
I first fell in love with jiu-jitsu a long time ago. I was 21 years old, and I was playing college football, but I wasn't getting to play very much, and so I did something that probably wasn't very smart, and I started kind of training jiu-jitsu at a school in Denton, kind of behind my coach's back a little bit, and I fell in love with it. And I wasn't able to continue with it because of my football career, but that's when I first fell in love with it. And then it was later in life when after I had really let myself go and reached the worst point in my life physically that I knew I was missing something, and that's when I came back to it.
So when you say you missed the worst part, or you hit the worst part of your life, what do you mean by that? What is the worst part of your life? What happened?
So during my football career, I got a whole lot of injuries. I accumulated several injuries. I have a degenerating disc in my neck, a tear in my right rotator cuff. I had knee surgery on my right knee. I had microfracture surgery, so I had to drill holes in my knee to try to fill it with scar tissue to replace my cartilage that I lost.
How long were you out? How long were you?
I was out. I was on crutches for like 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a major surgery,
Okay.
and it took the full recovery process took like a year and a half.
Wow. Okay. I never heard of that. That's why I asked. Okay, yeah.
My left knee needs microfracture surgery, but I was never able to get it, so my left knee is bone on bone. I also have a bad back and a calcium deposit in my left quad, and so just a lot of different injuries from football. And so I was just in pain all the time.
And you said you're at the worst point. So what? You got up to a certain amount of weight. How much did you weigh?
I got up to 310 pounds this time last year.
Okay. So how'd that make you feel?
Awful. I was just in pain all the time. My body didn't act the way I thought it would. It didn't move well. It was just waking up in pain. I'm going to sleep in pain every day. Walking hurt, sitting hurt, laying down hurt. It's just terrible.
So you weren't doing no exercise, no nothing. You just go to work and then just...
Yeah, I was working, and I would get so tired because I work a lot of hours. I do. Okay. I work, depending on the season, I work from 10 hours a day to 12, 14 hours a day. It's usually 6 days a week. Okay. And so it's I work so much, I'd be so tired and in so much pain at the end of the day. I wasn't doing much exercising at all, and I wasn't eating healthy.
Oh, okay. What were you eating?
A lot of fast food, a lot of fried foods.
Okay. So you said something like, okay, you didn't feel good about yourself. You wanted to make some changes. So then how did you start making those changes?
Well, I was inspired by an older gentleman I met, and this man, he looked every bit the part of a warrior. A bald guy, cauliflower ears, scar on his face, big muscular guy, probably around 50 years old. And he told the story of being in a severe car accident and being just severely injured. And he said, what are you going to do, lay down and die? No, you have to be your own physical therapist. And I took that to heart. And that's when I started looking up the information, because all the information's out there. Started looking up the information, what can I do to strengthen my knees? What can I do to relieve my neck pain? And started doing these exercises. And around that same time, that's when I finally started trying to change the way I eat. Started incorporating fasting and trying to reduce fat and carbs, and started to finally make some progress. And over about 10 months, I got from 310 down to about 290.
290. Okay. So you're feeling better, and then the next stage was you just decided you want to do jiu-jitsu again?
Yeah, I knew the next thing for me, I had to get some type of cardio workout. That's the big thing I was still missing. And I can't run because of my knees, or at least it's extremely uncomfortable. I don't enjoy being on an elliptical or treadmill for hours. I think that's boring. But I love Jiu Jitsu. It's an awesome sport, and it's one of the best workouts you can possibly do.
Right.
So I just got back into it. I walked in here about 2 months ago, and I already got down from 290 to 275.
Okay. So are you? How's your eating habits? Are you continuing on that path? You're eating better than before?
Yes. Now I'm not as consistent as I need to be.
Okay.
But I am. I think about everything I eat. I'm trying to cut out all the reduce carbs and fat, and make sure that I am consistent in working out, being active every day, and it's made a huge difference. I feel better even more than the weight loss. I just feel better.
So he said something to me when we were on the mat. He says, "You said you actually feel better training jiu-jitsu. Your body doesn't hurt the way it did when he wasn't doing it, when you weren't doing anything."
Yes, yeah.
Can you explain how does that work, right?
Yeah, I had so many injuries and just in pain all the time, and yeah, when you come in here, you get nicked up a little bit once in a while. Like I tweaked my shoulder the other day, and I tweaked my elbow, so my shoulder's a little sore. But besides that, I feel great right now. I just got a great workout in, and my body feels better doing jiu-jitsu than it did before I started.
Than just sitting around doing nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, once you're in motion, you stay in motion, everything just feels better. So I'm having them do this because I've had a lot of people out there. When I meet them, oh yeah, I want to do it, but I've had a slip disc, or I've had a soldier. You had how many? You had rotator?
Yeah, I had a rotator cuff, and then I had the microfracture and the scope on my knee, and
I get that stuff all the time. So that, people think that they can't do jiu-jitsu, and here I have a gentleman here that had all this stuff, and he's doing jiu-jitsu. So for anyone out there that doesn't think that they can do it, you absolutely can do it. Here's proof right here. He's got all kind of injuries that he's dealt with in the past, and he can do jiu-jitsu. Yeah, some other things hurt, but like you said, he's not hurting as much compared to when he was just sitting on the couch doing nothing, So it's like, how do you feel about yourself, like, self-esteem wise, now that you've lost, that weight and you're eating better versus, because you said something to me, you didn't feel too good at 310.
No, I felt awful about myself, and it's like, and you said this too, it's looking in the mirror and knowing that you could be doing better. Mm-hmm. It's like looking and seeing how far out of shape I've gotten, and knowing there's nobody to blame but me, because we all know the right thing to do. We all know we need to exercise and eat right, and we make decisions not to do it. So we have to, when you're unhappy with what you see in the mirror, you have to blame yourself for it. And that was the hardest part. And now that I'm doing this, I feel just so much better about myself, so much more confident. I go to work, and guys tell me like, "Man, you look good," or I post the stuff on Facebook of, like, from my tournaments where I've won some hardware, and everybody thinks I'm dangerous now.
Yeah, you're already a big guy, so it's not like someone's gonna run up on you anyways. But now you have some accolades behind you, so that kind of helps, right? Yeah. So talk about that for a minute. He asked me right away, like as soon as he started, "Hey coach, you think I'm ready to compete?" And for me, it's just one of those things, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So if a student asks if they're ready to compete, if they want to compete, then my answer is, yeah, let's go try it out and see what happens. And so how'd you do in your last tournament?
Last tournament I did better than I thought I would. I entered 4 divisions. I entered, the ultra heavyweight, no-gi, ultra heavy, or the no-gi absolute, the white belt ultra heavyweight, and the white belt absolute. Okay. And I didn't think my conditioning was nearly good enough to hold up through that, but I did. I put myself through it anyway. And the one that I actually ended up winning first place was the last one.
The last one.
It was the last one. It was the white belt absolute. It was an 8-man bracket, and I won gold in that one. Nice. So it was an awesome experience for me, putting myself out there and pushing myself and challenging myself, and then I learned a lot about myself.
Okay. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
I can tell you about one moment. I was against this giant man toward the start of the tournament. He outweighed me by 40 pounds.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he lifts me over his head and slams me, which is not something I'm used to. Okay. I've never experienced that in my life.
Right.
And so he's on top of me, and I'm fighting my way out, and then he passes my guard, and then he puts me in a guillotine choke, and he's on top of me, and I cannot breathe, and I just want to tap. And the voice in my head says tap. And another voice in my head says, no, don't tap. And my voice in my head speaks louder and says, no, tap out. And I didn't tap. I fought his hands. I got out of the chokehold. I got over on top of him, took his back, caught him in an Americana. So I learned that I'm tougher than I thought I was. And I have more conditioning than I thought I did. And that has been a huge confidence booster for me.
Man, that's awesome. Guys, look, that's what jiu-jitsu does for you. That's what it does for these kids in here. That's why I said for a lot of parents or any individuals, if you quit too early, you'll never know, you'll never experience that. And if you're a parent watching this and you pull your kids out too soon, they'll never have that opportunity either. So since we're on that topic about competition, he shared something with me that was very funny. I don't want to go into the name of the school or anything like that, but you said you just kind of Googled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Arlington, right?
Yeah.
So you tried out another school first?
Yes. I went to another school, did a trial class. They didn't let me roll at the end of the class. Like, we did the workouts, and I had to just stand and watch the competition, which I didn't like, you know. And afterwards, they asked me, they tried to push me to sign up. And I said, well, hold on, I'm going to check out some other schools. They said, well, what all schools are you going to look at? I said, well, I'm going to go to Alvarez tomorrow. And the guy said, oh, you don't want to train at Alvarez? I said, why not? He said, because they're going to try to force you to compete. And I said, well, I want to compete. So it sounds like the place for me. So I came in and loved it.
Man, that is so funny. Guys, look, some people walk in and they say they're going to do what he did. My answer is cool. Go check it out because every academy has something to offer. It just makes you look bad when you put another school down. So anyone that walks in, you know, that another academy might fit their needs better than this one might, right? So I don't want anyone walking out of here talking about me, talking like that, like what he just said. So without the school name and who said it, point being is what he was looking for, we had it. And it could be the other way around next time, but I'll never put another academy down just because I know who they are and what they want. We catch a bad rap for that because we do compete. But man, who doesn't compete, right? Like, what sport do you do when you put your kids in something or whether you played something? No one just scrimmages and practices. There's a game to be played, right?
Yes.
You didn't join football to just scrimmage, right? And then no game. We watch games all the time on TV. Like, Americans they can't wait for Sunday. They can't wait for the playoffs. They're watching Nadal and Federer play right now. They're all glued to the TV because it's what is competition. But we can't compete? That doesn't make any sense. Why can't we compete? Why do we get a bad rap for competing if we want to compete when the whole world wants to watch this competition? Because you want to sit in the bleachers and be a cheerleader, and we want to get in the mix and compete. We get a bad rap for that. Doesn't make any sense. All right, you got to play the game at some point. You can't just scrimmage all the time. You know, as it is, we barely compete. We've done one team tournament this year, and that was a couple months ago, and we won't do another one until September. So we don't compete that often, right? Like, if you want to compete, like him, we have competitions. We'll put a list out there, and if you want to do it, you go out and do it, and that's it. But we don't force anyone to compete. I didn't force you to compete. He asked me, when is he ready, you know? But to sit there and man, that's so funny. That was so funny. He's like, yeah, man, sounds like right up my alley. Came in, boom, signed up, and then he's already doing what he's doing, you know? So before I let you go, we're also talking, don't get too far into it, but family, loved ones, you know, knowing they can do better also, it's tough to kind of watch them just kind of settle for average, right? You know, I deal with the same thing. I think everyone can say they deal with the same thing. If you're like a higher achiever and you're trying to do something great, you just want other people around you to do those kind of things, especially your loved ones and your family members, you know? So we were just kind of talking about that, how we're just in that kind of struggle, that battle where, you know, we want our family and our friends to do better, and we know that they can, versus like some people just choose not to, and they'd rather, you know, take medication for the rest of their life. And that's just not the way to go when you can just do some exercises. You don't have to do this kind of exercise, but any kind of exercise is going to help you live longer, eat healthier, you know, just be around longer for your friends and your family. That's all what we want, right? Yes. You know, it's tough to watch people just kind of give up on life. We were just kind of talking about how we got some family members that kind of seem like that's what they're doing. And like life is over and this is the way it's going to be. We're just going to sit on the couch and watch TV until time is up, right? Versus doing something like Mr. Joseph here, he's like, I can't just sit here in pain. I'm already in pain, so I might as well do something. So now he's doing something. He's feeling better. He's looking better. He's getting compliments. Like, who doesn't like those compliments, right? Like, hey, man, you're looking good. You're looking better. You give out this energy, this vibe about you that you're doing better, man. That's awesome, because people can see when you're not doing good, right?
Yes, they can.
Man, what's wrong with that guy, man? He looks sad. He looks depressed. Something wrong with him. We don't want that, right? Like, we want to feel good about ourselves and do good things, right? So for anyone out there that's kind of dealing with some injuries, rotator cuff, what'd you call that again?
Microfracture
surgery on your knee, on crutches for 6 months, out for a year and a half. This gentleman here is still doing jiu-jitsu, man. He's making it work. He goes at his pace that he wants to go. We don't push him past the limits that where it's gonna make anything worse. And he's out there competing. You don't have to do that, but if you're out there on the couch and you're in pain and you're just kind of letting yourself go, rethink that. Be like Mr. Joseph over here and try to put yourself in a better position to where you can do better and live longer and help your friends and family around you more, better than what you are now, right? Because right now, if you're just sitting on the couch not doing nothing, you're just letting time pass you by. There's still time on the clock. You're still here. Make it happen. That's what these videos are about. We're not settling and being average. We're trying to just get up and make some things happen so that you can just be a better person and help the people around you be better too, right? So, Mr. Joseph, thank you so much for talking to us today. We'll catch you guys next time. Have a great day.